I knew that Baltimore had a whole lot of suppressed emotions and frustration. But what I saw those days, I never saw it coming. I was active in the Trayvon Martin trial down in Sanford. I was involved with Michael Brown in Ferguson. And people from Baltimore was like, man, how you doing all that in all these other places and you ain't doing it at home?
Yeah. I remember that. I remember reaching out to you asking, could I go? Because, during that time I was just starting to travel. I just got off parole. I was able to travel around the world, with my friends like Emory. They was giving me an opportunity to tag along. And I always told people that if what happened in Ferguson, and what happened in St. Louis, whatever, if it ever happened in Baltimore, there'll be problems. I already knew that because I felt like for so long we was putting a Band-Aid on wounds that needed stitches. And it wasn't for me to say how we would respond, but I just knew we wasn't going to respond just with a protest. I didn't feel like that was going to be the case. And the day that it happened, after the funeral, you can see that it was bubbling because the weekend before then, when everybody went downtown and they were starting to protest, and make their feelings and emotions heard, we could see it coming. But I didn't think that it would go to the level that it went after the funeral, And I should always say, and I don't never want to see like I condone violence. I don't, by no shape, form, or fashion, because my kids live here, my family live here. But I always thought that it happened for a reason. I was glad it did, because I thought, honestly, that was going to be a movement. A moment turned into a movement. And I don't want to blame anybody in the political field, because as community leaders, we still got to hold ourselves responsible and accountable and make sure that we get the things we should have coming, regardless of who in office. But I felt like that was a great missed opportunity in our history for our people, because I think the world was watching. And if you look at Baltimore today, a lot hasn't changed in terms of the crime, the school system, whether it be recreation, poverty, nothing has changed,
But I think for the positive, that young people in Baltimore knew what their strength was. I think that the city in a much larger way was introduced to you for you to even be a candidate, was that you were introduced in a large scale because of Freddie Gray. Here's what you got to put, Stoke, into perspective. The late, great Congressman Elijah Cummings had to come march with us.
Right,
that's important. It wasn't his march. He had to come to where the young people were. Yeah, the former mayor, Kathy Pugh, had to come down to North and Penn. We weren't following that. That wasn't the NAACP march. No. It wasn't Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton.
No. I remember that, I remember because at that time, as I told people many nights before, that I didn't know what I was doing. Sometimes leaders just put in situations and they just told to lead. And that, to me, that comes from God. God said, go, I got you, right? And I just remember, man, people not knowing what to do and using certain platforms to get people to come together, and believe in a cause that was bigger than myself. Because you spoke about the young folk. And since that day, although prior to then I was always engaged, but I felt like it was a calling for me to make sure that their voices would never go unheard again, And sometimes without having a major platform, a lot of folks don't understand. Even today, as a candidate for mayor, to me, Jamal, never was about becoming mayor. It was about really letting these young folks know that, listen, we can do anything we want to do. You spoke about yourself having a GED, and look where you are today. I follow in your footsteps. I went to college for real estate psychology. I made some poor decisions, ended up going to prison for 12 whole years. I came back home. I started atonement and forgiveness, got my family back together, and I've been successful and happy and healthy ever since. But more importantly, I feel the need to do something more than what I did before, because I think what Baltimore needs is the younger generation needs specifically is someone who can not only vouch for them, but represent them at every corner. And again, I'm not here to say nothing negative. I wasn't brought up that way, but I think that once these young folks see someone that they can relate to, trust, and respect, I think a lot will change in their life. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes God don't say, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to get you ready. Sometimes he said, just be ready. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's my personal opinion. But, another thing I like about you is that, you follow your purpose. When you was in Baltimore and you had to make a decision, from transitioning from, Baltimore to Atlanta, what was one thing on your mind when you made that decision? I know other than your family, and your congregation.
I felt like I had peaked out in Baltimore. I felt as if I had hit that invisible ceiling, and I didn't feel like I was I didn't feel like I was still growing. I thought I would just, what's the basketball coach said? Don't confuse activity for achievement. Right. Yeah, I was moving around, but I wasn't really making the kind of progress that I felt like I should be making. I started the church in 2000 and left at the end of 18. I did an 18-year bid.
Don't remind me, man. Don't remind me.
Stokey, I did day for day.
But Jamal, honestly, man, for me personally, I always feel like the greats leave us, but I do wish everybody well when that time comes for them to go on with their life and achieve big and better things. Because Jay-Z told me through Emery that he said, man, you can't help the poor if you one of them. And sometimes you have to show people what success look like in order for them to achieve it, right? Because you can't keep, being in the basement all your life telling everybody what the third floor look like. You know what I'm saying? Right. They need to see you on the third floor to believe that you've been there and it can be done. But also, with a lot of people I didn't know that you were also a businessman. Like you made other investments in places like Walmart, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Business investments you made, outside of being a pastor. And what made you decide to go that route? Because some people just think that, I got one job, I'm good. I ain't got to make no investment, I'm good.
So I'm going to tell you this story, Stoke, that I tell young guys all the time how I got into business and investing. Is I got in by accident. My dad is the most righteous guy I've ever met. Never heard him curse. Always been a devout, faithful Christian husband, father. And he messed up my life 3 times. Back in 1984, Stoke, real quick, Bob Johnson called my dad and asked my dad to be his partner in opening BET. And my father told him no. Said he wasn't gonna do it.
Hindsight.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna do it because black people don't watch cable. So the money that he had for that Bob Johnson investment, he used that money and bought a Mercedes-Benz. Go down the road, my dad becomes a bishop, he leaves Bethel, and he becomes bishop in Texas. This guy walks down the street to my dad's house. This is 1993. Knocks on my dad's door and says, hey, I got this small little company and I need a minority on my board so I can go public. I don't have no minorities. My dad said, tell me about your company. The guy says, well, I got this small airline, but it's only in Texas, and there ain't no assigned seats. That airline,
no assigned seats. That sounds like Sprint. A Spirit.
We all know now is Southwest Airlines. So both of those companies, both of those founders went on to become billionaires. And I'm talking to you.
Hey man, I thank God. Sometimes I think, I had a conversation with a few friends of mine.
Yeah.
And I know you probably can attest to this, more than anything in my life, all of the visions I ever had was over money. Even with family. And at a time like this, I think about what's very important. You spoke about how quarantining gives you the opportunity to sit down, become more family oriented, and speak things into existence or work on certain things, that you probably didn't have time to work on before. But I think sometimes money, as you say, or they say, is the root of all evil because of how people displace it or manipulate it to do things that they shouldn't do. I was guilty of that. Today, it's so ironic that today make 10 years, man, I've been home from prison.
Wow.
And I haven't been rearrested. I got a 790 credit score. I mean, God has been good to me. I don't have no complaints, and I don't want to make it about that. But I just realized that when you spoke about money, how sometimes when I was chasing money, it caused me everything that I didn't want in life. Lose my family, my mom, behind, drug addiction, everything that I thought was pretty much worth having, actually wasn't. And even during this quarantine, it showed me that the small things in life really are the most important things because, spending time with my son, and trying to contaminate him at the same time. Because right now, I'm got anxiety going on. Right, I don't know if I was around somebody a week ago, so I'm like, let me just play it safe, But I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you was able to bless Baltimore, man, with your presence. Especially as a leader not only in the community, but for your congregation. I mean, and you people know, man, Jamal, you famous. I'm like, you one of the most, renowned. No, for real, man. I gotta give you credit, man. Every major, like when you. And one thing a lot of people don't know, and thank the God for social network. But like even they had the hurricanes in Houston, you reached out and went down there, man. Made sure them people was good. We coordinated with a few things that Shoe City had. That's right. That's right. What you was already doing. I mean, so it's like every time there was an atrocity or something that needed to be done specifically for our people over the country, you was there. I watch you on CNN or I hear about you there, I'm like, damn, And they're the things that I love to do too because giving back is, of course, my purpose, man. But like right now, like what type of relationships? I'm a guy of relationships, right? Well, what type of relationships have you built that has helped you become a better pastor and a better man? Like I know you spoke about the great Elijah Cummings, but are there any relationships you can talk about?
I would say, believe it or not just because you're here, my connection to you helped me. I didn't know, before we walked on that basketball court, I had no idea who you were. Purnell and all them guys said, man, look, ain't no way you going to get through these streets and you connecting Stokey. I said, who is that? I run this city. I'm like, this is my city. Ain't no way. So when we got to that basketball court, I'm looking at all these people, and I had no idea who they were. It was a whole, it made me aware that I really had not infiltrated a whole pocket of the city. Freddie Gray taught me that I was a preacher in Baltimore and not a pastor. I didn't even realize the level of poverty in our city until Freddie Gray. Let me tell you what happened that messed me up. Schools had been closed, you remember, for about 4 or 5 days.
Right.
And then the night before school was to reopen, what's the barbecue place down in Canton? It's run by veterans.
A barbecue place? Mission Barbecue. Mission Barbecue?
Mission Barbecue. Mission Barbecue calls me the day before school's supposed to open, say, hey, we saw you on the news, like what you're doing. I'm bringing 2,500 meals on the corner of North and Penn on tomorrow. I'm like, wait. Because this is 11 o'clock at night. I ain't got time to find Kathy Hughes to get it on the air. Empowerment Temple don't even got a refrigerator. We ain't got no kitchen. The farm is closed. It's like we dropping it. I said, okay, boom. I called Carlos Muhammad.